Okay. Well, my name is Munther Dahleh. I am a professor at MIT. I'm in the Electrical Engineering and Computer Science department. I've been a professor and in academia for almost 40 years right now. I've been doing research in a lot of different fields. I started as more like an applied mathematician, but I worked with many different engineering problems. I worked in automotive, in aerospace, in chemical, and then slowly started drifting towards problems outside engineering, working with economists and social scientists to try to understand the impact of decisions on the world. My field is control theory or decision theory. I think about how we go from partial information, whether it's data, partial models, partial understanding, into making decisions. And this can be done in almost every field. I try to give some examples to people during COVID. It was a great time to think about how decision theory was so important when you don't have any information. You start with a pandemic that is growing very rapidly. You don't understand the virus. You don't understand the contagion. And yet everybody is looking at people to make some decisions about policy. What policy do we follow? Do we wear masks? Do we stay away? Do we stay home? And I think that this is what I always teach people, is that decisions need to be made, and then you adapt based on the data that you gather, and you change the decisions based on the adaptation. And over time, you try to arrive to the right set of things that you're supposed to do. So I've, done a lot of work in different fields. As I said, collaborated with different people, and parallel to my research is my education. So I've been teaching courses in decision theory, data science, obviously, machine learning, and all of the stuff that are supportive of the whole process of decision making. At MIT, one of the things that I did starting 2013 was the creation of an institute called Institute for Data, Systems, and Society. The institute's objective was to prepare us at MIT and the world to the wave that we started seeing in artificial intelligence and data science. In 2013, we were looking at it and we're seeing things accelerating towards AI, but we were not ready. We were not ready in terms of academic preparation. So departments that existed within MIT outside computer science and maybe mathematics that didn't adopt machine learning and data science in a systematic way, and statistics was an afterthought as opposed to a central to the way we think about a lot of problems and so forth. So we created this institute to deal with this challenge. And part of the creation of the institute is something that we did in terms of online education. So we understood that it's not just about what we do at MIT, but what we do outside MIT. And outside MIT, it's a tremendous opportunity. So we created online education programs, professional education, as well as advanced education. And I became a big believer in online education as a way to reach the majority of people in the world. And so that's where I began to think about what other things we can do in order to reach people. Obviously, professional education is a good one. Executive education is one part that is offered to businesses and so forth. But what else can we do? And that's where I started thinking with other people about the idea of education without borders. So one of the interesting things about the world is that we need to educate the world in a lot of different things. And there are challenges for educating everyone. One is, can you educate people about the region they're in, about where they are, and reach everyone in there? I call it everywhere and to everyone. So everywhere means we have to adapt to different ecosystem, different needs, different requirements. And to everyone means that we have to reach every person who wants to learn. The problem with university education is that it really is for the selective few. You have to have had excellent education in high school or even before, K to 12, and then that prepares you to go to college, and then you go to college. But we have people that don't see college as an accessible education. So how do we do that? Well, we need to be able to provide something for them. And what is that something? A lot of companies like Microsoft and so forth will give you courses about their products. Here's how you use this particular product. And this education, while valuable because it prepares people for these kinds of jobs, is not as valuable in that it's not a true honest-to-God education. It's a skill. Education is about learning how to continue to learn. It's not just one skill. And so we started thinking and talking about how do we create this sort of broad way of educating everybody and everywhere in the world. And that's where the vision of HEWB started shaping up. So now you have to start thinking about what's the level that I need to provide the education at. And how do I make this a sustainable learning experience? That is not that I teach you something and then you go off and work in it, and when the new technology comes in, I have to teach you again. I want you to be able to continue educating yourself. So how do we do that? That was the challenge that we took on when we founded HEWB. So I think that the experience I had at IDSS was sort of a reaction, or at least a preparation, not a reaction, a preparation for the new wave of AI. AI was more or less housed in computer science. And so, I felt like the first thing we need to develop is the field where the most transformative change is going to happen. We could have done that for energy or climate and so forth. But AI plus X is really how the new world is seeing everything. AI plus healthcare, AI plus transportation, AI plus government, everything is AI plus. And so because of this need, and countries all around the world are talking about scaling up the number of people who can actually be contributors in the economy through AI, we started thinking this is the first thing to do. And AI and computer science they overlap, because much of what happens in AI is happening by computer science. I mean, not in the application domain, but at least in the methodology. And so that's why we picked it, not to say that other fields aren't important and so forth, but just to say that this is a transformative area. And, we started building this program before ChatGPT, and before this jump, and a revolutionary jump that has happened in the last 2 to 3 years, we were already preparing ourselves to do this. And so in a way, we gambled correctly, and we picked the right topic that we are now ready to launch around the world. Data is going to be, and is today, the most important thing that we have right now. I mean, I think that AI has shown us that we can do a lot of coding and programming using AI. We could automate a lot of things that we used to do ourselves, cognitive skills and so forth. So what remains the most important thing that remains is the data. And so the management of the data, the collection of the data, the processing of the data, and asking the questions is still in the ownership of humans. And so I always tell people that, okay, AI may take a lot of jobs, but it will not go and do the experiment that will cure the next cancer problem. That's going to be the data that we have. So how does data help me ask the question? What question do I ask, And how do I use the existing data to educate myself about the future data that I need to collect? This course is not about the mechanics, because the mechanics are now easy. If you want to build a neural network model from data, well, guess what? Claude can do it for you very easily. You need to understand what you're getting. It's important, but you don't need to have to code it. It's already done for you. No-code environments exist for machine learning, and they are very, very successful. The question in data science is, how do you think about a problem, and how do you pose it? How do you ask the question? And the way you ask the question impacts the way you answer the question. So there's a system that comes with the way data science is portrayed. And I think that one of the important things that people underestimate is How do, think about, the government like Morocco. How do we make decisions about future investments? Where do we put our resources? Should we be supporting phosphate, or should we support fishery, or should we support desalination? And how do we make these decisions? These are data-driven decisions. And the proper use of data is the way we can actually answer some of these questions. So the course is expected to help everybody understand what data means, how to pose the right questions, how to collect the new data sets, and how to improve the situation, whatever the situation that they are in. That's my hope for the data science track. With it comes a lot of technology. We teach you how to build models and how to analyze the models and how to assess the models and how to do that in a systematic way. We teach you all of that, but my hope is that we're teaching you something beyond that that is helpful for whatever career or problem that you're trying to solve. So I wanted to say that I'm personally very excited about HEWB. It is one of the things that I think I believe is a big part of my contributions to the world, to the Moroccan society in particular. My belief in it comes from my belief that education is probably the most important thing that we can do to humanity. I go with the opposite direction. People say AI is replacing education and replacing skills, and I would say on the contrary. If anything, AI is going to save me more time to learn more and become better at many things. Providing everyone in the world the opportunity to learn across the board, many topics, many ideas, is probably one of the most important things universities can do. And I am a big believer in all of this.